Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's morning here in South Korea, but it is evening in Texas. And from what everyone is telling me, it is hot. I don't know. Have y'all got any rain there yet? Nope,
Nope.
I see him shaking his
Mm-mm.
head. All right. Maybe you'll get some. I had a dream last night that I was on the show today and looking out the window and it was raining in Texas. So hopefully y'all will get some rain soon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know the summer is here. Some schools are out. Some schools are getting out. So please, please, please take time and look up those summer camps, museum events, and all of those things that you can get your kids and yourself into for STEM this summer. It would be great to, teach your kids how to make some lip gloss or make some Play-Doh, create a volcano, well, all those great things. But I have a outstanding STEM guest today. Her name is Sumita. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. She
Yeah,
is,
that's right.
thank you. She lives in Vietnam, and she is NASA STEM certified leader and a children's book author. Good morning, Sumita. Well, it's morning for you in Vietnam too, also, isn't it?
Yes, good morning, Mary. How are you? Very nice to hear your voice.
You too. So, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome. It's absolutely lovely in the morning. And not that hot as in Texas, but it's a wonderful weather here, a little cloudy. And it's great. Really looking forward to the show.
Okay, okay. Well, I have looked over your bio and we've talked a few times. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I am so encouraged about all that you do. So,
Thank you.
will you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what it is that you do?
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much, Mary. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Sumita Mukherjee. And as Mary mentioned, I'm a NASA STEM certified leader. And I have also been a best selling children's book author. So that's the career part. And other than that, I love traveling. I have been very lucky to have traveled to many places, almost 13, 14 countries, and I have been able to experience their culture, the language, and the flavor, of course. So currently, I am in Vietnam and enjoying it a lot. The food here is amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
So, you said you've been to 30 or 40 countries.
So 13 or 14, yeah.
What are your top five?
My top five would be I have, if you can start from the east, I have enjoyed Japan a lot, China, then there is Singapore, then then of course Europe. I like Paris a lot, and I have been in New York and Canada. So I feel all these countries are amazing. Very different culture, very different people, but at the bottom in our hearts, I think we are all the same. So that is what makes it so special to me.
Well, you know what? That's the same with me. I think I've only been to like 12, but
Hmm.
um, I think my outside of the U.S. because I'm from the U.S. My
Hmm.
top my top place to be is Germany. I
Wow.
love. I mean, I love the history. I love the castles. I love all the fattening food. but
Yeah, for sure.
but Korea is nice too. I'm learning to get around,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of bus trips because I'm refusing to get a car. So I
Oh,
did a 3 hour bus trip to Busan yesterday.
awesome. Awesome.
But,
Yeah,
mhm.
public
So
transport is a savior there. Yeah.
yeah, but it's It's nice. The weather, I mean, it's still really cool here. So it's probably similar to what it's like in Vietnam. We haven't hit the hot weather yet. But I hear it's,
yeah. Yeah,
I
in
hear,
Vietnam, practically throughout the year, it remains kind of hot and humid, and also it rains in the evening. And December, January sees a little bit of cooler temperatures. But
oh,
I have just moved to Vietnam. Yeah, I have just moved to Vietnam. It's been about 8 to 10 months. And prior to
mhm,
this, I was in Toronto. So it's like a major shift in the climatic conditions. So
mhm,
I think Toronto is still in its cooler space. So it's still
mhm,
enjoying the cool winds and all, and waiting for the summer to come. So
mhm.
but for here it's more like hot and rainy, and but yes, not that crazy hot as in India.
Oh, well, I'm supposed to go to India in July, so you told me it's hot, so I'll make sure I dress for the weather. But
Yes, yes.
getting back to STEM, um, what is a NASA STEM certified leader? What is that?
Yeah. So a NASA STEM certified leader is this program which you undertake from NASA, and it encourages all the teachers and people in the discipline of education to become
Hmm.
aware of all the standards, all the latest standards like the next generation science standards, the
Yeah.
technology standards, and the curriculum standards. So basically, you learn and research a lot about the standards, and
Oh,
of
good.
course the importance of STEM education. So basically, it puts together all the best practices and integrates multiple subjects so that we can create a unified learning process. And for the
Mhm.
kids, they are having this cross-contextual learning happening, between science, arts, technology, math. Everything's happening together, and they can relate to the real world issues and move towards solving them. So NASA's STEM program is a very comprehensive one, and it kind of teaches you and grills you through all that is happening, the latest ones in the education field, and
Mhm.
preps you up for STEM.
Hmm. That is interesting. I'm going to have to make sure I look that up because I've looked up some things in STEM for NASA, and I read a lot of their different things, but I haven't
Sure.
looked into any of their certification programs or professional development programs because I'm always bouncing somewhere, either at work or at school or in another country. So I'm making myself a note to research that, to look into that for myself and for my science teachers here. Um,
Yes, you will get a lot of resources over there, a lot of lesson plans, and there is a particular club for NASA kids. So you can access the resources. There are a lot of updates which are happening, like the rover in the kind of planning they are doing for explorations and the moon. So you get updated basically on the latest things happening on NASA, and you can tie that to your own classroom lesson plan.
oh yeah, okay, because I follow them on I follow the NASA YouTube channel, and
Okay.
I get a lot of information and stuff that I can share or show with my kids there. So this is one more feather I can put in my hat. I like this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Um, Now your background is in STEM. Your education is in STEM.
No, not really. Actually, it's very interesting because I was doing something totally different, but a few incidents, led me to STEM. And there is a very
Mhm.
famous saying by Steve Jobs, which
Yeah.
says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can only connect them when you're looking backward. So you will somehow have to trust that these dots will follow and connect in your future. So something similar happened to me. I was in the field of human resources and
Mhm.
IT, and from there, I came into writing. I was writing some adventure stories. So, but what happened was when I was writing these adventure stories, I realized I was getting too busy and too occupied. And I had my kid that time. She was about 3, 4 years old, and she was busy, but not with something productive. She was getting busy with watching the TV and the screen. And that was, that started bothering me. I couldn't afford to let her watch so much of media, unnecessary, meaningless media.
Yeah.
So what I did was I thought, okay, let's have some of her friends over for a play date. So I called her friends over for a play date, and I thought, okay, now everything's going to be fine. They're going to play together. But what happened was that, they also started watching the TV. And I'm like, oh my God, so what do I do next? So I don't want to bring in kids and everybody's watching the TV. So there was a voice inside me which was saying, why don't you use your NASA STEM degree to use? So at that time, the NASA program was encouraging me to create a lot of hands-on projects and a lot of lesson plans for my own research. So that gave me an idea. So one fine day, the kids are all over at home, and I take 3 glasses of vinegar. I put in some food color to make it very interesting. And in another bowl, I take some baking soda. So I bring it to them and I tell them, okay, here, so do you want to make a magic potion like a volcano? And they looked at me and they're like, oh my God, what is your mom saying? How can we make a magic potion from water? So, to them it appeared like colored water. So I encouraged them. I said, go ahead, just take the powder and pour it in. See what happens. So one of them, took the powder, and the moment they poured it in, it fuzzed and poured over. And, they were like screaming and giggling. And they were so thrilled that they kept doing that for hours. And I was like, voila, that is the recipe to cure bored kids. So I thought, okay, now the next time they are over for a play date, I must have some plans. So the next time they were there, I prepared this balloon rocket, air-powered rocket. And soon it broke into a challenge. They were competing whose rocket can go the furthest. So over a couple of months, I started collecting all my projects. And since I was already writing, I thought, okay, why not just put together all the material and publish it and see what happens. To my surprise, so that was my first book I wrote on STEM. It was named STEAM Ahead DIY for Kids. And to my surprise, the book started doing well. And that made me realize, that there are other educators, other teachers, other homeschoolers who are looking for materials and books to keep their kids occupied. And with that, I started my own club called the Whiz Kids Club. And that got me into full-time STEM book writing and making programs for the kids.
I mean, that is amazing. I was looking at, we're going to go back and forth to your books and your club, but I was looking online at your club, and I was looking at books also. I love the that you incorporate next generation science information in there, because it makes it more not only fun but more academic, because teachers are always looking for STEM activities to do, especially with younger kids, because they'll be like, well, how can I teach them population? What can I do to teach them adhesion? Going back to what we did as kids, using the celery stick and food coloring and watching the leaves of the celery stick change colors.
Yes.
Or taking carnations and making carnations different colors.
Yes.
Being able to explain kids what happened, or as simple as making a volcano with baking soda. You know,
Right.
people think that you have to give kids like all of these big, wonderful electronic toys and computer games and simulations. You know, they have a lot of fun with the simplest things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is what I kind of have in my mind and my focus of the Whiz Kids Club, to create this, online STEAM club where all the parents, homeschoolers, and teachers can join in. Once you subscribe, you can access a lot of free resources and find inspiration on a regular basis. So I have created these three, there are three essential features in the club. So number one is, as you mentioned, that everything is aligned to the next generation science standards and technology standards. So you get the latest and the best of all the scientific method of education. And that means that any child doing those activities get exposed to all those engineering principles, and which can definitely give them a head start, right? So, so one is that it's very related to all the latest standards and the next generation science standards. And secondly, as you mentioned, it's the materials which I have used for all the projects are very easily available. You go to any grocery store or any electronic store or any of the art and craft store. All the materials are very easily available. I haven't still now used any fancy gadgets or very expensive toys for any of those. So it's very budget friendly for the teachers. And I keep in mind, little bit of green engineering, so that I use a lot of recycling, how to create a seed paper, those papers. You mush up all the papers and you plant them, and you can look at gardening anywhere. You can, use them as a gift. So my projects involve a lot of green engineering, and it's related to water purification, pollution, making them aware of the environment. So these are a few factors, I always keep in mind when I'm doing any of the books or creating the programs. So, yeah, that's what I like to focus on, those 21st century problem-solving skills. And, so I've put together a lot of reverse engineering, upcycling, how to deconstruct, how to use loose parts to create something new. Frankensteining a toy. So, these are something very interesting, I find, and something very, appealing to the kids. So, they tell them you're going to Frankenstein a toy, and they're like, wow, they're like thrilled. And, they get to make a toy and play with it. So what better? And you're learning all your science and maths along with that. So I've tried to keep it, as interesting as possible.
And, that is so interesting, because we're so used to going out and buying toys for our kids. I remember growing up and being stationed in different places, and my mother used to make different toys for us. She would make like the paper dolls and the paper doll clothing, and she would make the different games for us. And also, like I said, when I was stationed in different places, I would have soldiers who would just take blocks of wood and connect door hinges and belt buckles and different things onto that block of wood, so their child would learn how to, close a belt or open and close a hinge, or, put laces on there so they could tie their shoe. And we've gotten so far away from that, and in a way we are starting to come back to it, especially the engineering design process. And we've done it for years, but we never called it anything. But getting our kids back into that is so important. So
absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, because in India, I remember, we didn't have any fancy toy. So, Yeah, we didn't have much fancy toys, but what was interesting was my granddad. He was a radio engineer, and every summer for holidays we used to go to his place. And
Mm-hmm.
he had this interesting under the stairs workshop, and it was filled with pliers and wires and copper tape and stuff like that. And me and my brother, we used to have a ball. We would grab them, add a motor, add a fan, a battery to it, and it would start rotating, and we would build our own house. And he would help us, make these telescopes and create a solar cooker. So it was like so much fun. So he used to gift every summer. He used to send us a gift, and I used to open, and there would be this toy made by him. So at that time, we didn't have these subscription packages where the toy comes to your door. But something similar was there, and we were playing with that. So it's very unfortunate that, nowadays kids have so much ready-made toys already. But
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to encourage for my own daughter. I don't give her so much of a ready-made toy. I give her just, supplies, a lot of supplies, paper, glue, tape, circuits. And, she is there creating her own puppet balloon, or she's making her own squishy notebook. So it's all fun. And then friends come over, and also, they are also very interested in what's happening. So that's how the cycle goes, basically.
That is so interesting because think about it. As you said, we give them so much, and a lot of times is to keep them entertained. But the other thing is when you give them something like that, and let's say they have sisters, brothers, or it's just you and your child, there are things that connect you with them because you can do it with them, or they can create it and bring it to you. Or if they're working with a sibling or a friend, they look at it as something that they did together as opposed to, oh, this cool, new cell phone. And it's so important. Now, before we get too far in the show, how would people get to your Whiz Kids Club? How would they get to your books? Give us some social media or information to where they can get to all of this, especially teach, because they need that information to make their classrooms, a lot better.
Absolutely. So if you want to access my books and programs, it's very easily available at Whiz Kids Club. That's WIZKIDS Club, WizKidsClub.com. So once you are on that site, we have our social media handle, and it will take you to the Facebook or the Pinterest or the Instagram page. And that gives you an update of all the latest things that are happening, all my latest programs, the books which are going to be launched soon. So just hop on to WizKidsClub.com, and you can access all the books and programs from there.
Okay. I'm looking at your books. Okay. STEM and STEAM, Next Generation Program. This is a lesson plan book, or give me some more information on this book, because this just came out in March. Well, it says March 25th, 2018.
Yes. So basically, this is a book. It's more like a next generation teaching program for educators, meant for elementary teachers. Yeah. So it's an accelerated program for classrooms. And anybody who is in the STEM field, any person who is doing a summer camp or has a STEM school or any library or entrepreneur who wants to get started with STEM and is looking for a resource or some kind of idea. This is a program to start with. It has 10 weeks of detailed lesson plans, which are all integrated to the next generation science standards. And they are planned by the minute. So, you don't have to think, what should I do? It's planned by the minute. And it's a 60-minute lesson plan, each of them. That's one part. And the second part is that it follows the engineering design process. So all these lesson plans are basically tied to the engineering design process with a little bit of inquiry and a little bit of science behind the activity. So basically, when you get this program, you have a thorough understanding of a real world problem. It focuses on a career, like, I'll give an example. So there is this NASA scientist design and build challenge. You have to create a lunar lander. So with paper cup and straws, and you have to ensure that the marshmallows, which are like the astronauts, they don't fall down when the spaceship is landing on the moon surface. So this is a challenge meant for typically classes grades 4, 5, and they have to create and design, this lunar lander. So this whole process goes through the engineering design process, and once they come out, they have better understanding of what could be the challenges of a huge spaceship, landing on the surface. So there are more projects like this, being a toy designer, you have to create a slingshot, or making a bristle board, become an electrical engineer. So elements of career, facts about the project, science behind that, I have tied in all these elements, and I have created the lesson plan. So once you access this program, you get it, and it has almost 10 weeks of detailed lesson plan.
I like that because in a lot of school districts, they give you your curriculum framework and all of that to work from, but then they do weekly lesson plans. But and in science they want you to do labs. But this kind of takes away some of the fear of, oh my goodness, what do I do next, or what can I do? How much is it going to? And being a international STEM educator as myself, there are so many, so few resources out there that we really know about, or a new teacher would know about. I know about a whole lot. I've been around far too long. But this would be a great book for a new teacher, teaching in Thailand, teaching in Vietnam, teaching in the UAE, teaching, here in Korea, because they don't know what are some of the activities that they can do with the kids that goes with the curriculum, and with everybody about the engineering design process that can, go from the scientific method to the engineering design process, and the kids can actually think and produce and build things, in the new way that we're looking at them doing things, which is the old way that we used to, and we just didn't have a name. But, yes, I really, really enjoy that. Now, you don't only deal with K through 5. I'm looking at some of your publications that also are looking at kids all the way up to age 12. You have you have a cool science experiment book. You insight into what made you want to write those, and also what are some of those about.
Absolutely. So my books basically, it has a huge spectrum, right from toddlers to ages 12. Each book has a different level to offer. So the Cool Science book has a few activities which are meant for little middle school, upper elementary kind of grades. So it has got motion and energy. There is chemistry and reaction. I'm talking about the broad categories. There is
Mm-hmm.
math fun, creating geometricity. That is something very interesting. I had fun doing that lesson plan. So it's a 3D geometricity which kids get to build. Yeah, from graph paper. So it's quite easy, but it requires a little bit of calculation, planning, detailed planning, and it brings in your math skills. So there is the math fun over there. There is crafts and games. Again, you get to make a lot of games to play at home. And of course, there is physics involved, which is like, creating your own pulleys, creating your own zip lines, electricity involved, making glowing wristbands, superhero wristbands, and stuff like that.
The superhero wristband sounds like that would be something fun to do at a birthday party.
Yeah, for sure.
It would be great. A parent can do their kid at a birthday party, other than the big expensive houses and all that wonderful stuff that we go out and do. Now, I'm looking here at some of your other books, The Ghost of the Forbidden City, The Curse of the Ancient Temple. I know I'm not sure them books, but you have really been a busy bee with writing.
Yeah, those were the ones, which got me started. And when my daughter was very small, she used to enjoy watching Dora the Explorer and Peppa Pig. And all these kids were going on exploration. So, but they were all imaginary, they were all these imaginary mountains and magic caves. So that's what got me started. I wanted to create something for her, which is something very real, something which exists in the real world. And since I was traveling that time, to these countries, to Malaysia, Singapore, China, I wanted to bring in, facts and flavors from those countries and weave it into an adventure book. So all these books that you see, it's based in, one is The Sunken Treasure Hunt. It's in Singapore. The Ghost of the Forbidden City is based in China. Then there is Secret of the Smelly Trail for Malaysia. And for India, you have The Curse of the Ancient Temple. So all these stories have a lot of travel, adventure, and geographical facts. But if you look closer, all my stories have had some element of STEM in it. Because these kids are very enthusiastic kids, and they build their own gadgets to solve the problem and the challenge they're having.
That is just amazing. And I'm starting to look at being STEM. We look at movies and television a lot differently. Some people, and I finally watched the movie Black Panther because everybody has been telling me you have to watch it. You have to watch it. There's a young lady in there that just is totally STEM oriented, and I watched the movie. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to watch it again because I'm just looking at the gadgets and the things that she made in the movie. And I don't know if they're believable, if you can actually make them, but yet and still, she think of it, I want you to try this. And it takes me back to like some of the James Bond TV shows and the Get Smart TV shows. Of getting people to think about STEM, and back then they didn't even think about STEM. There was like, okay, these were gadgets. They're no longer gadgets. Right. A lot of things are real life now because you look at Get Smart and he had the shoe phone. Well, the portable phone. Everybody has a portable phone now, cordless phone.
Right. Right.
It's just, handheld games. Those were depicted in a lot of different TV shows back before they were even made. And now, they're all around us. So, we have to keep our kids involved, because that's what's going to keep them moving forward, and not only expecting people to make things for them. They can make
Absolutely.
things. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I believe that, these gadgets, we mean our kids to look inside. What is there inside, So there are these take apart toys, which I encourage kids to meddle with when I'm teaching. And they get to look what is inside a guitar. They get to look what is inside, the circuitry, or what is inside a very simple a toy, which there is this alarm clock, or the ones which come with the knob, and they rattle. So what is making that? So just get curious, explore, and they will figure it all. Look inside the car, what is there? So just to get them curious is enough. I think they already have the gift of taking it ahead, because they are never happy with what you give them or give a solution. They want to do it on their own, in their own way. So I believe you just have to lead the way, and they will follow and excel in that. I truly believe that.
And that is so true. So we've got about 4 minutes left, but I want to ask you, what are you doing in Vietnam? Just enjoying yourself, yes, or what?
It's actually, we moved from Toronto to Vietnam. My husband's job takes him here. And but very surprisingly, and I'm very excited, there is a lot of STEM movement going on here. There are a lot of project work, lot of education which is happening around STEM. So I have found my ground here, and that makes me quite happy. And of course, I have my new book coming up, which is also keeping me busy on at the moment. So. A lot of things happening with teaching programs, which I'm into, with the new book, which is coming out. So that definitely keeps me occupied in Vietnam.
Okay. Well, hey, when the new book comes out, send me a link, send me some information, so I can definitely post that on the radio show's Facebook page, so I can help you to promote it. And, my book just came out back in April. And
wow.
I need to, it's called Taylor STEM Adventures, because I like to travel. But I like doing things with my and so the Taylor STEM Adventures Hawaii, every book that is purchased in the month of June, a portion of those proceeds will go to the American Red Cross in Hawaii, because of the volcano activity. And so we lived in Hawaii for quite a while. And awesome. Hawaii was home to us. My older son graduated high school there. And so, I want to give back to a place that I think made my kids grew up and made them to love nature and STEM a lot more. Because they're grown now and they still talk about it. So,
awesome. Congratulations to you, Mary, and to your son for graduation. I'm sure you're thrilled about the whole thing which is happening in your life right now.
Thank you. And like I say, send me a link. Hey, Mr. Mead, we've got teachers and students coming in, so I'm going to have to go off in just a second. But
okay, sure.
I want to thank you for coming on to the show. And y'all come on in. I want to thank you for coming on to the show. And I want to make sure you send me the link to your new book when it comes out. And also let the audience know how to contact you or how to get a hold of your Whiz Kids Club one more time.
Definitely. For sure, I will be sharing the link. And to get to me or purchase any of my books and programs, you need to go to wizkidsclub.com. That is WIZKIDS, wizkidsclub.com.
Okay. All right. Sumita, thank you for coming on. And anytime you want to come back, drop me a line, and enjoy your time in Vietnam.
Thank you so much, Mary. It was absolutely amazing talking to you. And I wish we can continue for sure. It's been rather short. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, take care. Bye. Bye. Enjoy yourself in Korea. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to continue to enjoy the food over here. It's good.
Sure. I'm sure about that. Okay.
Okay. All right, ladies.
Yeah.
Okay. Radio. I am having a wonderful week here in Jeonju, South Korea. All of my students have showed up for class on time, and their teacher is 1 minute late. So, thank y'all for listening. And how do I say goodbye in Korean? Anya?